Okay, how's it going? We are here today to take a peek at the land-based cultural leadership program. Now, since we don't have a parent night, I'm going to do a quick run through on what you can expect in this format. And if you have any questions, hopefully you can send them my way and we'll go from there. So, the middle years land-based cultural leadership program. Is a program at Bishop Lloyd Middle School. Now, before I talk about the program, I want to talk about who I am because, I have young kids and thinking about where I'm going to put them in childcare. I spent a lot of time, looking into who is this person who's going to take care of my kid, what qualifications do they have, are they a good human being, and then kids get to middle school and here's their 10 teachers and you don't know anything about us. So I think it's important that if I do enough research about a person that I'm going to leave my kid with for 4 hours while I go out for supper with my wife, you should have a little bit of understanding about who I am before you entrust your small human to me for an entire year. So let's take a look at it. So I grew up in Saskatoon. I moved to Lloydminster a little bit later after graduating from the University of Saskatchewan. I did my first year of teaching in the Saskatoon Public School Division with a program similar to what I run now. Now I've been in LPSD. This will be my 11th year of teaching at LPSD at Bishop Lloyd Middle School. I was previously in grade 7. I was in a role as a targeted skills teacher, and now I am working in grade 8. We're just completing the second year of the land-based cultural leadership program, so we're going into the third, and we're excited that it's going to be the best yet. So a little bit about me. I am married. I have 3 kids. Spoiler alert, there's a new one. This is Evan and Lachlan, my wife Leslie. Evan is very energetic. Lachlan also is a little bit devious, but he's a pretty good 2-year-old. We do all kinds of outdoor stuff together. We do lots of gardening, we do winter stuff, we do canoeing, and we just recently welcomed our newest one, Emerson, and she is like a month old. So it's a crazy time at home right now, but it's pretty delightful at the same time. So now about the program, a little bit about me. It's a grade 8 program option in 2021. So it's a full year program. It's an applied to program. Students apply to the program, and then we go through the application process and a class is decided upon. It's a whole year program. You're with me all year long for all of your subjects. You don't switch classes. You don't switch to different teachers. Home ec and IA you still go to. But other than that, all the other Saskatchewan curriculums are taught through the program. So we're also supported by a variety of other teachers as their expertise is fitting, and also with cultural leaders and elders and people within our school division, as you'll see as we look through some of the images of what we do. So one of the big things about our program is we try to be project-based as much as possible. So we have 9 different curriculums, so we try to integrate them as much as possible. In real life, we don't have 20 minutes of English and then a bell and then 40 minutes of math and then a bell, right? If you're trying to figure out a project, it's all integrated. And so that's how we are trying to deliver the curriculum. So we cover all the regular curriculums that you normally would cover in grade 8, but we try to mash them together so that it's a little bit more like life would be. So rather than class by class, we work project by project. So that means that sometimes we might be a little heavier on the science side of things. Sometimes we might be heavier on the social side of things, but it all evens out in the end. Another point of that is that we have different outcomes in different projects. You might see English, math, health, science all together into one project, different outcomes from each of those. In that, students work together to create criteria for projects, looking at exemplars and looking at some critical thinking about what would do a good job of this, what a good job would look like. We spend lots of time self-assessing, peer assessing, getting better at that. and trying to learn in teams and learning to work with other people effectively. And we try to teach what we're doing in the best place. So one example of that could be something like a water project where we have science, social, and English outcomes that are braided together into our project. So there might be research and design on water filters, testing, interviews with experts and cultural leaders. There might be research and critique of water use in Canada historically and currently, comparing approaches to land stewardship. There'd be a canoe trip mixed in there. There'd be a written essay or presentation to present what your learning could be. So that might be an example of what a project could look like with us. So there we're talking about some science curriculum, some social. We're also looking at some phys ed curriculums, some health curriculums, and some English curriculums. So there's a bunch of stuff mashed in there. We also try to mix up our math a little bit. We still cover all the regular math curriculum. We do all the regular math quizzes and tests that normal, like regular stream math would do, but sometimes we try to offer math projects to kind of spice things up to make it a little bit more meaningful than just questions on a page. So with assessment, we are focused on meeting objectives rather than percentages. So we want to know how close are you to like mastering this rather than are you a 78 or are you an 82 percentage? How much have you earned? We want to look at what have you mastered, what do you need to work on, what do you need to improve on? And some of the ways that we look at that is through conferencing with students, report cards. We try to add in a little bit of extra stuff, looking at things like leadership, group work, project development skills, different things like that. Our class is culture infused as much as possible. We try to honor traditional Indigenous knowledge and ways of knowing and kind of weave it together with a more westernized approach that you would see in most classrooms. We have opportunities, awesome opportunities to learn traditional teachings and work with elders and knowledge keepers pretty regularly. We learn about the teachings of the medicine wheel, and we try to work together to develop ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. And when we're talking about spiritual in that context, we're not necessarily talking about religious dogma, but more about establishing healthy relationships with everything around us, including our relatives, our nation, the natural environment, all that kind of stuff. And that includes, with culture infused, we include getting out of the classroom and learning in real locations as often as possible. Something that is pretty important to us is called the circle of courage. So a belief system that in order for us to work, in order for us to feel good about ourselves, that we have a sense of purpose, that each of us needs to feel a sense of belonging, that we belong to a community, that we have a sense of mastery, that we know what we're capable of and we're driven to discover what we can do, that we have independence, that we have the opportunity to take responsibility, make mistakes, learn from those things, and that we have the opportunity for generosity, that we can build in opportunities to contribute to others and give back to our community. And so weaving these four things together helps us to build resiliency and perseverance, which is a big thing that we talk about in our program. Now, another thing about our classroom is it's mobile. We're not always in the classroom in the school. So students need to be willing to get around. Sometimes this is on foot. We do a lot of walking places because it's free. Sometimes if equipment is permitting, we will travel via bike. We are outside in all different seasons. You see here some imagery of students doing math at co-op, an ice fishing trip, and we did a joined trip with some kindergarten kids from Jack Camp to the museum to learn about snowshoeing, some of the history, how to do it, fire starting, bannock making. We did a bunch of stuff with that. So some other examples that we see here, we did some work at the public library. We went and read to kids that were at the library. We did an art project that was based out of the museum again. The tiles, you can see our art project on the side of City Hall. And we went up to Onion Lake and we did research, asking elders about their experience and about culture, trying to figure out what is culture as part of a social studies project. So another big thing that we do is mentorship. So we have mentorship worked into our program, both with us. We gain mentorship. We learn from the mentors at LCHS in the Small Fires Group, and we also offer mentorship to younger students. We go and work quite regularly with students in a variety of different schools and a variety of different capacities. A huge part of the program is camping and outdoors. So we try to get outside and learn as much as possible in all different seasons. We try to have about 3 to maybe 4 camping trips. One is in the second week of school. One is a canoe trip in June, and we have a few other trips mixed in there, often including a cultural camp and potentially a winter camp or an urban trek mixed in there as well. So we are looking for people who are okay with the outdoors, who are ready to be physically active. If the idea of walking a few kilometers just stresses you out, you either might want to start working on that, or you might want to double check thinking about applying to the program. So again, we are out in the winter, we're out in the summer, we're out in the rain, we're out in the sun, we're out in a variety of situations. Relationships is something that's super important to the program. It's something like very foundational to who we are and what we believe, that we think that building relationships is super important. We want to get to know students, and we want students to get to know us. We're creating a family. I launch every email with hello to our A5 family, because I really believe that we are, this group of humans we spend a lot of time together. We spend significant portions of our lives together over the course of the year. So it's really important that we know each other and we all feel like we belong. So when we're at school, sometimes students are even spending more time with their teacher and classmates than they are with their own families, just due to schedules. And especially with our camping and our overnights, that we try to create that family sense. We look out for one another, and we take care of one another. So we're looking for different types of learners, but they have a few things in common, the students that we're looking for. We're looking for a broad range of students. It doesn't matter, if your average right now is 55, if your average right now is 95, but we're looking for students who are ready for maybe a different approach to school, rather than segregated subjects and bells and tests and things like that. We're looking for students who are willing to get involved and get their hands dirty with different projects, who are willing to work with a variety of people, not just their best friend, who are willing to get out of the school, who are ready to persevere when stuff gets tough and not give up, and who are willing to just engage with other people and learn in a variety of different ways. Part of our program is developing independence and leadership. And so we're looking for students who are interested in learning leadership skills. Maybe you haven't not done that yet. You don't need to necessarily have a big resume of all your different leadership opportunities, but you're interested in it, and maybe it's something that you want to try to develop. We're looking for students who are independent, students who are able to show up with all their stuff, students who are able to get a packing list and take it home and pack their clothes and get ready for camp, students who are able to meet us at a specific place. Oftentimes, once we've traveled together, one place we go to very frequently is Bud Miller, and so oftentimes I'll need to transport equipment over to Bud Miller. So the first few times we go over there, we all walk together as a class, we all go together. And then after that, oftentimes if I have to get stuff over there, I'll transport stuff over there, and students will walk over to Bud Miller in their learning teams, taking care of each other, but without direct supervision. So we need some students who are able to be independent in that way, and they're going to have a lot more responsibility in this class, and you're going to need to get places on time. You're going to need to manage different workloads and different projects, and so it's important that you're an independent learner. You're able to work on your independence in this class. We expect that everyone perseveres when things get hard, and they dig in rather than giving up. So if the slightest thing causes you to give up, you either need to be very willing to work on that, or you might want to consider a different option for next year as opposed to us. We're looking for students who are willing to cooperate with everyone who's part of the program. I kind of touched on this before. We're not just here to hang out with our besties. We're here to work with everyone, no matter who they are. And we're looking for students who are interested in having some choice in their own learning. A lot of how we do things, you have a choice in how you represent your learning. So if that stresses you out, if you want every single thing dictated to you, do this step, this step, this step, this step, this step, hand it in, you're not going to find that with us. You're going to find a lot more how do we want to approach this? How do you think that, what are the steps that you think you're going to need to take to accomplish this? Do you think you bit off more than you can chew? Are you trying to do too much? Do you need to tone it down? So we do a lot of kind of conversations around that, as opposed to this is what you need to do. We have a lot of different transportation in this program since we go a lot of places. Lots of this involves walking, potentially biking if it's possible, and then we bus when is necessary. A new thing that we did not get started on this year due to being away from school, but next year there are two big 15-passenger buses. I say buses, they're not really a van, they're not really a bus, they're kind of like minivans, or mini buses, I don't know how to describe them, that the high school has from LCHS and the Galmobiles, and they are pretty fantastic automobiles, and so that is a way that we are looking at transporting the class next year as well. Nutrition, we try to be nutrition positive as much as possible. There are lots of days where we might be gone. You'll need to be able to bring yourself a bagged lunch. You can't always necessarily buy your lunch at the servery if we are gone. There's a breakfast program at Bishop Lloyd where every student can get breakfast for free, and we highly encourage our students to take part in that if they need it. If we are going somewhere and you really need a lunch and you don't have it, we can figure out a way to help you out with that. When we go on trips, we cover the lunch. Sorry, when we're on camping trips, we cover the lunches, we cover the meals. That's not like students don't need to pack their own food for trips. So on the application form, you see a few different mandatory bits of equipment. So you see like appropriate footwear, like winter boots, waterproof boots, depending on the season, depending on what's going on. You see a waterproof jacket and a waterproof pants and a backpack. These are all like, everybody's got to have them. So if you have that stuff and you want to supply it, that's awesome. If you want to get some of that, that's awesome. If you need help with that kind of thing, that's awesome. We can help you purchase that stuff. We have a variety of options that we loan out to students, and so we can assist with all of that equipment. When we go on camps, you need to have a sleeping bag, and but we have some that we can loan out as well in those cases. So we want this program to be available to all students. So we don't have a tuition. There's no cost to join the program. All the big equipment will be provided, and most of our excursions are covered. So costs, we try to keep costs as minor as possible for students. There's things here and there, but we do a lot of things. I write a lot of grants to help get funding for the program. I'm always actively looking for funders to help fund the program. We do a lot of in-class fundraising led by the students to help provide opportunities for the program to do what we need to do. So we try to fund ourselves that way as opposed to asking students for a tuition. But we do ask the students engage in some program-specific fundraising throughout the year, above and beyond like the regular stuff that the school would do, like the jerky sales or that kind of thing. So a couple things to think about here might be this is for you. So if you're making this choice to join this program, this is for you. If you sign up with your 7 best friends, there's no guarantee that all 7 of you are going to actually make it into the program. So if you're looking to sign up, I want you to think about it like, is this what you're looking for? And I hope that it is what you're looking for. And if it is, I want you to sign up. But if your best friend isn't interested in it, I don't want that to be a reason why you don't sign up for the program, because you would be cutting yourself out of an awesome opportunity to do something that's really for you. And so if your friends aren't doing it, don't make that be a reason why you don't sign up. And the same reason, if this sounds terrible to you, but your friends love it, don't make that a reason. Don't sign up for something that you're not really into just because all your pals are signing up for, trying to get into the program. You don't have any control over who gets in. And so just, if this is for you, make sure you sign up and you do it like that. If you are into the outdoors, if you are into being outside in all the different seasons, if you're into working with other people, then this is something for you and you should definitely sign up. So then often in school, you don't get a whole bunch of choice. You have to ask to go to the bathroom, you have to show up on time, you have to do all the assignments that are gone. So we believe that you're going to have to make a lot of choices in your life, and so we want to give you the opportunity to make those choices and deal with the consequences. And so your first and most important choice you're going to have is if you're going to choose to be part of this program for next year. And one thing on extracurricular is that all of our camps and our excursions, our adventure excursions, are part of our program. We cover curriculum, they're mandatory excursions. So while we do our best to accommodate extracurricular opportunities, there may be times when you won't be able to participate in extracurricular activities because we are at a camp. So in our September camp, that's during volleyball season, so we try to work it out with coaches so that it's all kind of as good as possible, but you will miss some practices for things like that. So just keep in mind that if you have a crazy hectic schedule, make sure that you have a little bit of wiggle room in there so that you can come on all of our camps and trips. There's not a huge amount, but there are some, and it is important that you are there. So what does it look like? Hopefully I've answered that a little bit, but we'll kind of spin through a few photos. One thing we do at Bud Miller is we check out sit spots. So we try to find sit spots throughout the year. We go back and visit them in a variety of different seasons. And we write, we kind of observe, and we just kind of check out in the different seasons and track how they change. We went out snowshoeing. This is at Mount Joy, snowshoeing at Mount Joy. We try to engage in a variety of different discussion styles. This is class-wide debate. One thing that we try to do with our body systems unit is rather than just read about a textbook about the different systems, we try to connect that into trapping. And so in the last couple of years, we've been really fortunate that we've been gifted some animals to work with. And so one year we were able to bring in a coyote, and so we learned how to skin coyote, how to tan the hide, how to and we did a full dissection in that. And so as we're studying the different body systems, we could look at the body systems. We could hold a heart in our hands, we could hold the lungs in our hands, we could hold the liver, we could measure the distance that the intestines take up. So we can get in and look at that. Also, this past year, we had the opportunity to go out and do some beaver trapping. And so we learned about trapping. We learned about what that looks like, what animal management looks like. And we were able to trap a series of beavers. And we brought those back. And we worked with Mrs. Mirth, and we did a full dissection of the beavers to pull out all the different body systems and examine those. As well, we learned how to skin the animal, and we tanned the hides, the pelts of the beaver. So it's been pretty cool. We do a lot of project stuff online. With our language class, we don't take a French class, but we have a language class, and so it's split into different stuff. There's some parts that are self-directed learning, and so students use Duolingo to learn a language of their choice. Each year we also apply to the Saskatchewan Organization of Heritage Languages to bring in some language instructors. In these photos, we worked with a lady named Vesna, teaching us about Ruthenian. We made food, we incubated eggs. I have a whole bunch of chickens now at my place because we learned how to hatch with Vesna. This past year, we brought in Dr. Richard Starkey, and he taught us German. Here we have Cook and Irene, who taught us Cree. So we try to work when what kind of languages are students interested in learning. We try to work with SOHL to bring in instructors that fit in those categories. We try to get out and mesh art and math whenever we can. So sometimes we go out to the park and we do art installments of math. Along with that math, sometimes we bring in Mrs. Mirth she's working with a group of students here that had mastered all of the other curriculum, and they are working on programming with her. Oftentimes we try to bring in the community as much as possible. So these are some ladies from Newcap News, which is now Stingray, and they taught us about interviewing skills so that we could create our own podcast and so that we could go out and conduct interviews in the community and put that together weave it into a story. We also do some work with the Native Friendship Center for a variety of different teachings and experiences. On the top left, we grew tobacco this year when we approach elders for teachings. We offer tobacco to open up that communication with them. And so we grew our own tobacco and dried it, and we use that when we meet with elders. We went out to my acreage. We go out there a few times a year, and we have been like tanning hides. We are scraping hides, tanning hides, smoking hides, kind of going through the whole process from the hide is fresh from the animal to it is actually ready to go. This year, we had an awesome opportunity. A local hunter gifted us a deer to process, and so we went through. Mrs. Ma taught us all about how to go through and how to butcher all the different parts of a deer out. We cooked a variety of it, and it was a pretty cool experience. We have spent some time out at Onion Lake for culture camps, going on tours, learning about our sister community up there. With our mentorship opportunities, we do lots of stuff with the high school. This is some stuff around Orange Shirt Day. This is when we went to go and mentor with some younger students, teaching them some of the TP teaching. So with our camp, we have lots of different opportunities, some classics, cooking hot dogs over the fire, some storytelling with shadows, and we do some geocaching. This year, we actually harvested choke cherries, and then later in the year, we made choke cherry jelly all together with the help of some parent volunteers who came in to teach us that. We try to do phys ed in a variety of different ways. We try to offer personal fitness as an option when we can, and so we get out and do that as much as possible. We did some work with the Gateway for Newcomers when we were working on our culture project. I talked about going out to Onion Lake. We also met with a variety of people from Gateway for Newcomers, interviewing them about what it's like to be a new immigrant to Canada, what it's like to be a new Canadian, and what are some of the differences and challenges that we might see there. We were engaged in a cultural camp up at Onion Lake, a multi-middle school culture camp where we went with E.S. Laird and College Park. We slept outside. There was a moose hunt as part of the camp. We did not get to go hunting, but the hunters went out. When they harvested the animals, they brought them back, and we were able to help skin the moose and help butcher the moose. Look at that. And don't you just want to sleep under the stars out here? It's just a beautiful place to be. So lastly, it's winter season just finished up. We went and did some ice fishing as well. This year we didn't get to go on our canoe trip, but next year we fully anticipate that we can. So that's a whole bunch of stuff. This is a long presentation already, so let me run you through a couple things. We're doing in-class presentations this week. If you want to learn more about it, you can send me an email. You can take a look at our Instagram account, but all of our application info is live at this link right here, bit.ly/capital LBCL undercase or lowercase info. That takes you to the Bishop Lloyd webpage that talks about the program. We're taking applications until May 14th, and then by May 29th, students will know about if they're accepted into the program or not for next year. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me, derek.highland@lpsd.ca, or you can check out our Instagram account, landbased_BL, where we post lots of stuff that we are working on, and still some of the things that we're working on now, even though we're not in school. So that's it. Hopefully that answers some of your questions. If you still have some, get a hold of me, and we look forward to seeing applications come in, and we look forward to learning with you and having you as part of the family for next year. Have a great time. Take care of yourself. See you soon.